All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about a conflict that might feel like it's happening a world away, but its shockwaves, well, they're hitting pretty much everywhere. This is our explainer on the 2026 Strait of Hormuz crisis.
And this is really the core question, isn't it? You see prices going up for gas, for groceries, for just about everything. So how on earth is a conflict thousands of miles away connected to your wallet? That's exactly what we're going to break down.
So to really get the why, we have to start with the how. You see, this didn't just appear out of nowhere as a global crisis. It started out as a regional fight that escalated fast and exploded way beyond its original borders.
What's really stunning here is just the sheer speed of it all. It kicks off in February 2026 with U.S. and Israeli airstrikes. Iran hits back almost right away. Then comes the game changer in March. Iran threatens the world's oil supply routes. By April, we are locked in this really dangerous back and forth, a cycle of attack and counterattack.
And every single one of those moves, every threat, every strike, it all revolves around one single geographic point, a tiny strip of water that has suddenly become maybe the most important spot on the planet. So, let's get to the heart of it. Why this strait? How does this one narrow passage have the power to basically hold the entire global economy hostage? It all comes down to what passes through it, minute by minute, day by day.
On a map, it's pretty simple, right? The Strait of Hormuz is the only way for ships to get from the Persian Gulf out into the open ocean. But strategically, it's everything. It's not just a waterway, it's the main artery for the world's energy supply.
And this number says it all. 20%. Think about that. 1/5 of all the oil the entire world uses every single day is squeezed through this one little passage. It is, and this is no exaggeration, the planet's most critical choke point.
So the logic of this crisis is devastatingly simple. When Iran uses its position to block or even just slow down traffic in the strait, the flow of oil just stops. We're talking more than 11 million barrels of oil a day suddenly vanishing from the market. And the result? The global economy just absolutely shudders.
And a shudder like that creates a ripple effect that touches, well, everything. It's not just about oil barrels anymore. It's about the real-world impact on entire countries, on massive economies, and on you. Let's trace those ripples.
I mean, just look at this chart. The economic hit was immediate, and it was harsh. You can see the price back in February before things kicked off. Then, the initial shock in March when Iran made its threat. And by April, boom. Prices spiked by as much as 60%. That is a massive shock to the system.
And of course, the ones feeling it the hardest are the players right there in the region. Everybody has a different goal. For Iran, Hormuz is a weapon. For Saudi Arabia and the UAE, it's all about protecting their own oil facilities. For countries like Iraq, Kuwait, and Qatar, their economies are getting hammered because they can't get their oil out. And for Israel, it's about neutralizing a direct threat. The whole region is a tinderbox.
Okay, so let's connect that tinderbox right back to you. How does that 60% price spike actually hit home? Well, gas prices go up, obviously. But then the cost to transport everything goes up with it. That leads to general inflation, making day-to-day life more expensive. And then supply chains start to break, meaning that stuff you ordered, well, it's going to be late. It's all connected.
This crisis is also a huge diplomatic test, and you can see the different reactions around the world. The United States is putting on the pressure. Europe is trying desperately to find a diplomatic solution. China and Russia, they're watching very, very carefully, maybe seeing a chance to shift the balance of power. And pretty much everyone else is just calling for a ceasefire, terrified of where this could all lead.
Okay, so with everything so tense, so unstable, there's really only one question that matters: what happens next? Let's take a look at some of the possible scenarios and the huge risks that are sitting on the horizon if this thing keeps getting worse.
Now, before we look forward, it's so important to understand the two very different stories being told here. The U.S. position is that they're countering a nuclear threat and keeping the seas open for everyone. Iran's position is that they're simply defending their country from a foreign attack. Both sides are using whatever power they have to push for their goals.
But underneath all the politics, all the strategy, there is one simple, hard truth. And this quote from the analysis just cuts right through all that noise. No matter who's right or wrong, the biggest price is always paid by ordinary people.
And the risks down the road are just massive. This isn't just guesswork. These are very real possibilities. A full-blown war that pulls in the entire Middle East, a global recession caused by sky-high energy prices, and a deepening humanitarian crisis for civilians caught in the crossfire. The stakes honestly couldn't be any higher.
So, as we start to wrap this up, the main takeaway is crystal clear. This is not just some regional spat anymore. Its impact is truly global, and really, no one is immune from the fallout.
When you strip everything else away, this whole conflict is about power. It's a raw test. Who gets to control the flow of energy? Who has strategic dominance in the world's most critical region? And ultimately, who holds the most influence on the world stage?
And that brings us right back to where we started. This quote sums it all up perfectly. As long as this choke point is a flashpoint, the consequences are going to keep spreading, and eventually, they will find their way to all of us.
In the end, everything really hangs on the answer to this one question. What happens next isn't set in stone. Will cooler heads prevail and find a path through diplomacy? Or will this cycle of escalation just keep spinning out of control? The answer is going to define not just the future of the Middle East, but the stability of the entire world.